Am I visible? Audible, my friends? Sorry, I am very late today. Very late today. Yes. Shumit Haldar. Shumit Haldar, thank you. Deepankar, Shumit, Arindam Lahiri. I am very late today, very sorry. Being very late. Let me start today our subject. Sotto Ranjan Boxi. Yes, this is a forgotten name. A name forgotten. That's very tragic. A man brilliant in his academic career, having master's degree from Calcutta University and a law degree from Calcutta University, academically much brighter than many of the so-called national leaders whom this country worships. He was the deputy assistant to Chittaranjan Das. In his all journals, Chittaranjan Das published a few journals. All the journals was practically run by this brilliant man, Sottoranjan Bakshi. And many of the editorials of Chittaranjan Das was actually written by Sottoranjan Bakshi. And after death of the premature, mysterious death of Chittaranjan, Sotto Bakshi became the editor of those journals and became very close to Subhash Chandra Bose, very close to. And in the turmoil days of Tripuri Congress, when Subhash Chandra was elected as Congress president, when whole Nehru-Gandhi junta fought against Subhash Bose and compelled him to resign. In those stormy days, the closest person, politically the closest person of Subhash Bose in those days was Sotto Bakshi. Sotto is very intelligent, very articulated, very astute. Even when Subhash Chandra was elected as Congress president, it was the right of the elected Congress president to form his working committee with members of the Congress of his choice. But Gandhi from behind, by Pont proposal, prevented Subhash Chandra to form the working committee. That time there was a attempt of compromise with the Gandhi-Nehru junta. Even Subhash Chandra went to the level that let all the members be nominated by Gandhi. Only one person, let one person from his side be the member of the working committee. And that one person is Sotto Bakshi. He wanted Sotto Bakshi at least in the working committee. But even the whole Gandhi-Nehru junta turned down that proposal because This Gandhi Nehru junta was so afraid of Satyabokshi because Satyabokshi was very politically very sharp, very astute, very intelligent, and this Nehru Gandhi junta was afraid of. They knew that, they apprehended that even if one person, Satyabokshi, did the working committee, he can defeat politically all others working committee members of Gandhi's choice. He was so brilliant, so articulate, and so astute, politically so sharp. This is Satyabokshi. And in the days of first forming the forward bloc, it is politically, it is Satyabokshi. Very close person, politically. And when Subhash Chandra was home intern in those sad days, in one darkness, Subhash Chandra went out of Elgin Road. Police could not identify it. He went to the house of Satyabokshi and he stayed there for a short period and discussed something. God knows what was the discussion. And he came back. And it is Satyabokshi who is one of the very few persons who knew the plan and steps of mysterious journey out of Elgin Road in mid-January 1941. It is Satyabokshi, one of the very few persons of this country, knew the plan and steps of mysterious journey in mid-January 1941. And there he told Satyabokshi that he will again come back to this country and he will meet him. And that word Satyabokshi kept in mind till his death. He did not change the address. He passed his last life in a very economically devastated condition. Very economic. He did not take any pension of the government of India. And I have seen his daughters, his daughters, very emaciated, adult ladies, unmarried. Each lady in adult age was just 25 to 30 kg average height, but emaciated, cachectic, very poor condition. The whole family was starving for years. Only they were getting some poor food with help from some of his co-fighters. He did not take any pension, any help from government of Bengal or government of India. But you will be astonished that this man is very much known to all persons. Gandhi, Jinnah, Patel, Rajagopalachari, B.C. Rai, all tall figures, big figures of Indian politics. Very close. He never took any help from all these persons. Only and he was in prison cell for long period. In 1945, he was transferred from Noini jail to Calcutta jail. That was in 1945, November, December. And by this time in August, the news of the plane crash story of the plane crash and story of death of Subhash Chandra has spread everywhere. For on the ground of illness, Satyabukshi was brought from outside Bengal, from Noini jail to Bengal. In 1945, November, December, there was gradually the people of the country came to know when the INA trial has started. People has come to know the glorious history of the INA created by the INA soldiers in the eastern frontier of the country. And the country was electrified. At that time, Nehru was compelled to put on the barrister's gown for the first time in his life, to show as if he is sympathetic to the INA soldiers. He donned in the barrister's gown in the Red Fort trial. And Gandhi, who was opposed to the INA and Subhash Bose, also in the public addresses was praising Subhash Bose and the INA. Apparently, as if they really respect Subhash Bose and INA. But that is not the fact. And Nehru Gandhi did it only to cheat the people of this country. And because at that time, it was very risky for an ambitious political leader to go against the popular items of the people of this country. Any ambitious leader, politically cunning persons, goes against the popular wishes and popular feelings of the country. Because that is very risky. That if it goes against the popular feelings of the countrymen, they will be unpopular. They did not take that course. They joined the popular movement and became more popular and only cheating the people of this country, but gradually stabbing the whole movement from within. And that I will show from the deposition of Satyabukshi, the Justice Khosla Commission. Even Gandhi came from Delhi to meet the governor of Bengal, K.C. At that time, K.C. was the governor of Bengal. At that time, Gandhi expressed his wishes to meet Satyabukshi in the prison cell. Gandhi went to prison cell to meet Satyabukshi. I will tell you what is the discussion of Satyabukshi with Gandhi and why Gandhi went there. Gandhi went there to buy Satyabukshi, to purchase Satyabukshi. He went there with a proposal that Sharad is going to join the interim government in Delhi, and you, Satya, you take the charge of Bengal. Can you imagine such a politically very Bengal politics? And had he took that proposal, he could have been the first chief minister of West Bengal or something like that. But he refused to take. And I am going to that point, and I'll discuss you. And one thing, let me tell you, I will go step by step from the deposition. I will not talk to you today for a long period because I am already late. Satyabakshi told Gandhiji, you are telling about Suresh Bose joining the Congress and joining the interim government, and also telling of my joining you to take the charge of the Bengal. But is it the issue of only two persons? Sharad Bose and Satyabakshi. What about the followers of Subhash Chandra Bose? It should be the question of all the followers of Subhash Chandra Bose. We are the followers of Subhash Chandra Bose. The question should be of all. And Gandhi could not give answer. And then and there, Satyabakshi refused to agree to the proposal given by Gandhi. Gandhi went there to buy the man, to purchase the man. This is the man. And I tell you, Satyabakshi is the grandfather of Indian journalism. He's the grandfather. In one area, I am telling from these depositions. Emphatically, one day in my discussion, I told that Subhash Chandra left Elgin Road long before the 16th January 1941. Long before. The popular story given by this Shishir Bose that on 16th midnight he left this. No. This is absolutely a false story. Long before that, Subhash Chandra left Elgin Road. And most possibly on or just on 12th January or just after 12th January. Here I am quoting the statement of deposition of Satyabakshi to Justice Khosla Commission. On 12th January 1941, that was the last I saw him physically. On 12th January 1941, that was the last I saw him physically. That is also the statement of Sunil Das and the statement of revolutionary leader Leela Rai. All these very closest persons of Subhash Bose, all that we saw Subhash Chandra last in Elgin Road on 12th January. And there is no deposition, no evidence anywhere that anyone has seen Subhash Bose in Elgin Road after 12th January. There is a mystery. Another very important. The question on Solmari was put on him by the commission. The question of Solmari, the famous ashram of North Bengal, during 1960, the Solmari ashram, the Sarananda issue, was placed before him by the commission. And Satyabakshi giving the emphatic answer, you see. After seeing the picture of the sadhu, Satyabakshi is telling, I think it is the picture of Solmari sadhu. I am not interested about this. I think this is the picture of the Solmari sadhu. I am not interested about this. A picture content in this, I do not find any similarity in this picture with Netaji. There is no similarity at all. The emphatic answer about the Solmari Sadhu, Solmari episode. And yes, Gandhi's meeting was in Calcutta in November, I think in December 1945 in Presidency Jail, where he refused to accept the proposal given by Gandhi. And this meeting was in presence of the jail superintendent. Yes. And he asked Gandhi, it is not a question of Sharad Bose joining not only the question of joining Sharad Bose in the interim government in Delhi and I taking up the charge of Bengal. It is the question of basic question about the Gandhi-Nehru. It is the Congress's attitude about war. About the war. Netaji Subhash Chandra had an attitude about war. About independence. Has Congress changed their attitude towards the war? If Congress's attitude is not changed about war, there is no question of followers of Netaji Subhash Chandra agreeing to the proposal of Gandhi. The basic question, the main point of difference between Gandhiji and Netaji was on the issue of war. Gandhiji and the Congress High Command were of the opinion that during the war, in this distress, we should not embarrass the government. But Netaji's opinion was that here and now we should take up the struggle and take everything to win our freedom. So the political discussion started. And in the course of discussions, he told me that Subhas is not dead. Subhas is not dead. Gandhi is telling Satyabokshi, Subhas is not dead. He cannot die that way. I do not believe a line of what had appeared about the air crash and all that. Subhas is alive. He will come in his own time. That was what Gandhiji told me. And he told me that in a private room in the presidency jail in presence of superintendent. Later, in January 46, Gandhiji made a press statement in Calcutta Press. He merely repeated that what he told me in the presidency jail in presence of the superintendent of the jail superintendent. Yes. In December 46, he told me again that Subhas is not dead. He will come in his good time. And that is exactly what Gandhiji told me. I will not take your much time. Now it is about 20 minutes. I'll pick up one or two issues just, then I will stop. Arindam, Dipankar. Yes. Now, I shall tell you only what I have heard directly from Pandit Nehru, Gandhiji, Bhulabhai Desai, later on from Radha Vinod Pal, the jurist. Now I shall tell you what Bhulabhai Desai told me. Bhulabhai Desai was the advocate for the defense of INA trial. I told you, Bhulabhai Desai was the pioneer and most brilliant of the defense team in the INA trial. And he worked so hard to defend the INA soldiers. It is the Bhulabhai Desai. And I have told you, the Bhulabhai Desai's attitude after reading so much documents of the INA, attitude changed a lot. Once Bhulabhai Desai was against Subhash Chandra. But today, during the trial, after reading these documents of INA, Bhulabhai Desai started respecting Subhash Chandra. his attitude was changed. The man was changed. And after the end of the trial, you'll be astonished to see that the distance between Nehru and Bhulai Desai increased, and gradually Bhulai Desai became almost no entity in Congress. He was practically politically excommunicated by Nehru and his group. During the trial, I met Bhulai Desai. During the trial, I met Bhulai Desai in Delhi. During the trial, I met Bhulai Desai in Delhi. That is 1945 end and early 1946. He, being the leading advocate for the defense, he had access to the exhibits and documents that were submitted in the court. In the trial, a photo of the dead person was exhibited. Later on, I happened to see a copy of that photo. He showed Satyabukshi a copy of that photo. It was a man completely covered with a sheet of cloth all over, from head to foot. The photo was supposed to be the photo of the dead body, covered with a white sheet of cloth. That photo was supposed to be the photo of Netaji. Whether there is any body at all, because it was wholly covered, and Bhulai Desai's comment was that this was all fake. Then there was another photograph of Taihoku Aerodrome. Bhulai Desai said to me, "Had you ever gone to the Far East Asia?" I told him that I had never been out of India. Bhulai Desai told me that that was not the photograph of that aerodrome. The landscape of Taihoku Formosa does not tally with the photo submitted. He also told me that British intelligence people and Mountbatten, who was the commander of the Allied forces in Southeast Asia region, and General MacArthur and others immediately after the publication of the report of Netaji's death or disappearance of whatsoever, caused extensive searches throughout the area. They made a thorough search from house to house of Indians and friends of Netaji in that region. They searched all places where Netaji was supposed to have any contacts during the INA days. Every house of Indians and friends of Netaji. Bhulai Desai told me that MacArthur and Mountbatten could collect absolutely no evidence, no proof about the death of Netaji. There is absolutely no proof of his death in the American report or in the British report. I have also seen the press report. Of MacArthur where he said, under quote, "Bosch has again fled. If he comes back, we will lose this Asia." That was MacArthur's press statement published not only in India but in different countries of the world. Bhulai Desai told me about the alleged photo of Taihoku Aerodrome, which did not tally, and thirdly, he gave me his report of Mountbatten and MacArthur's report, that is to say that American military intelligence report and the British intelligence military reports, which said that there is no proof or evidence of Netaji's death, but regretted they could not also trace Netaji's whereabouts. Later, when I met Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on one occasion in Calcutta Government House, Dr. K.N. Kadju, when he was the governor, I met governor in Governor House, Panditji strayed into a discussion about Netaji. He almost abruptly asked me a question. The question is this: how is it that astrologers all over India held that Subhas is still alive? There is a question of Nehru to Satyabokshi in the Governor House in Calcutta. I reported, how could you know? How would you know? You are never interested about astrology. You do not seem to be interested in astrology. Have you consulted astrologers in this matter? He said no. But anyway, if Subhas was alive, he could have contacted Gandhiji or myself or Sharad Bose or you. Then I said, simply because he did not choose to contact you or me, and it doesn't mean that he is not alive. Let me stop here today. And there is many statements. Are you interested? Devasis was actually Anita. Good night. Okay. Is the main culprit to finish Netaji. Joy Mahakal, Parthu. Let me another stanza. Let me read. Then I will stop. With the knowledge of the intelligence reports and of the possible probability of Netaji being alive, Pandit Nehru rushed to Singapore. With the knowledge of these intelligence reports and of the probability of Netaji being alive, Pandit Nehru rushed to Singapore to meet Lord Mountbatten in 46. It's the month of April. Yes, that was a great news. What transpired between Pandit Nehru and Lord Mountbatten was published in Malayalam papers. However, the editor of Mathribhumi, a friend of Gandhiji, visited the Southeast Asia and collected whatever of Netaji's writings and speeches and orders he could lay in hand on. He brought back the photographs of the INA days. He also brought back some of the old newspapers and press cuttings. I happened to pore over some of those old copies and the press cuttings at Sharad Bose's place where we met him. I was much amazed to find one copy of the Malaysian newspaper published a sort of contract between Jawaharlal and Mountbatten. The items related to the division of India, which actually took place subsequently. One particular item was about Netaji himself. It said in substance that Netaji would be punished wherever found. That was the report in Malaysian newspaper on the discussions between Mountbatten and Nehru. That discussed in 1946 in the month of April. And I have told you, here in India, Congress told to the people of this country that Congress is sending Nehru to Southeast Asia, that is Malaysia and Singapore, to look after the suffering INA soldiers there, to look after, for the good of the INA soldiers. Actually, Nehru went to the Southeast Asia, Malaysia and Singapore to have a prior agreement with Mountbatten, number one, about the partition of this country and to whom the transfer of power will be. and number two, the share of the loot from the INA wealth, and a personal relations development between the Mountbatten family and Nehru, which will help partition and transfer of power. That was the actual purpose of Nehru's visit to Singapore. And here in the behind the curtain here in India, this story was propagated that Nehru is sent to that place, Singapore, to look after the suffering INA soldiers. In that way, day after day, Nehru and Gandhi and this gang had cheated the Indian people. I will discuss some other areas of the deposition of Satya Bakshi. Satya Bakshi, I have told you, is the grandfather of Indian journalism. He was the deputy editor of all the journals created by Chittaranjan Das, and politically, in that period of 38-39, the closest person of Subhash Chandra Bose, and he's the man who is the one of the very few who knows the plans and steps of Subhash Bose going out of Elgin Road in 1941 mid-January, and he has not compromised with the Congress, and he has not compromised on partition of India. He has not taken any help from the political parties. He suffered a lot. He was offered the political power of Bengal, but he rejected to take it. That is the man of principles, and we have forgotten. And till death, he believed his Netaji is living. And subsequently, I will discuss other parts, and my friends has told me to discuss one day in Bengali. I'll try to. Please remember the name Satya Bakshi. Satya Bakshi, I think his birth centenary was observed in 1998, something like that. I think it was 1998 or around. Almost the Subhash Chandra and Satya Bakshi almost of equal age. Yes, I will scrutinize all the documents. I will talk to you in one day. I like to see what is your questions, and subsequently I will try to give the answers to you. And Arindam, before this, we never heard about this great man, Mr. Satya Bakshi. He's a revolutionary. His sacrifice along with family. Actually, two sisters unmarried died from tuberculosis. His wife died from tuberculosis. Cachectic. He could have been one of the very rich persons if he could agree to the proposals given by Gandhi. He did not agree. Before this, we never heard. Arindam, I will discuss more on these persons. Sir, please carry on. Today you take rest. Today I have done it in English only because the Bengal has forgotten, and the rest of the country do not know the name. That's the problem. And we are worshipping false gods. Partho, good evening, Shahana. Today I'll request you to take rest. I hope you have today listening to the speech of our Prime Minister in Brigade, and you now decide whether you will vote or vote not. If you vote, analyze whom to vote. And I believe all your conclusions will be on comparisons. In your life, you will never get absolutely a correct person. Every person, every party has some good thing, some bad thing. You have to choose a person or a party who has the least defects. You have to choose between from within the bad things, which has least amount of bad things. You cannot have one thing or one party in all planes, in all components, best, brightest. You cannot. You have to choose, you have on comparison. Let me stop here today. Thank you. Good night.